My microphone isn't on. Oh.
Let's do this. Let's can you see if that is the audio is turned on, or just unplug that microphone?
She hasn't. Yeah.
Look down here on that screen and see if that computer says move to lower left.
Lower
Just a touch
left.
screen, like down there, this area down here.
I don't see that, what you're showing me. There's the microphone.
Yes, you see when it says microphone, can you turn it on?
Well, okay, wait.
That's it. I think you got it.
So now, is it done? You are muted.
Mr. White, Mr. Ray, can you hear me at all?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Judge.
Good morning,
Mr. Ray. Mr. White, can you hear and see me okay?
Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you, Judge.
Okay,
good. All right. We're having a couple of technical difficulties this morning, as expected. Give us just a second. We've got a little feedback loop.
This is muted here.
That ought to take care of it. Okay. Let's give it another try. All right, court calls 18-251, Robert Lewellyn versus Dorina and Joel Garza. Let the record reflect that Mr. Ray and Mr. White are appearing online this morning, and I believe that Mr. Mayo has appeared in the courtroom today. Is that correct, Mr. Mayo?
Yes, sir.
All right, and Mr. Mayo, if you will just come on up to the podium and let's make sure that counsel can hear you. Go ahead and make an appearance for the record, Mr. Mayo.
Keith Mayo here for Joel.
All right, and can y'all hear Mr. Mayo okay?
It is muddled, but I can hear him.
Judge, it's very, very low in volume for me. I don't know.
It's off. It's off. All right. Will you step over and grab that microphone? Turn it on. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There we go. And they're on the front, and then I think once it turns green, or let me see. There we go. May need to get Aaron back in here. There you go.
All right.
Just put that on there for Mr. Mayo. We'll put a microphone on here. Let Mr. Mayo feel like he's in the Supreme Court or something. All right, let's try that again.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, Judge.
All right, good. That's better. All right. Now, it appears to me that on the docket, I've got a couple of things. I see Mr. Ray had filed a demand for an abstract. I believe that there was a motion to compel discovery. And then there's also a motion to withdraw counsel. And I'm not sure. I'm going to ask you all which one you think we should take up first. Mr. Ray, they were your motions.
Judge, I'm fine for you to go ahead and take up our motion to compel on the demand for abstract. We requested it November the 12th, 2019, so it's way past due. I hated to have to finally take this action. I got no response from Mr. Mayo concerning the status of the abstract was, or if he was even trying to prepare it. The thing is, I've also got a motion to withdraw, and it's my understanding that's acceptable to Mr. Lewellyn.
And Mr. Ray, Mr. Ray, for whatever reason, we're having some difficulty. I don't know, Mr. White, if you're having difficulties as well, but it seems like you're cutting out a little bit. But if you can just, what I've heard thus far is that you wanted to take up the request for the abstract, and then you wanted to move to the motion to withdraw. So if you can just pick up right there and see if we.
Judge, let me finish on the motion to compel. And I'm only reason I'm going ahead and continuing with it is I prepared it for Mr. Lewellyn well before my motion to withdraw. Mr. Lewellyn is entitled to the abstract. What I would suggest would be an order that finds that the abstract is required. I don't mind if Mr. Mayo has 30 days as long as it's accepted for Mr. White, because he'll be Mr. Llewellyn's new counsel. And in other courts, I've done it with the subject of fine of say $500 or something like that as a sanction if it's not completed within the 30-day period. And then Mr. White and I talked about who prepared that ultimate order. Now I'll move to my second motion, and that's my motion to withdraw. And Mr. White, Judge, contacted me yesterday, and I visited with him about that. The whole crux of my motion to withdraw is Mr. Llewellyn has told me in no uncertain terms he's not going to pay my bills, and he's not going to pay me anything more to work on this case. I don't like working for free. So here I am asking for an order to withdraw. And Mr. White filed yesterday a notice of appearance in the case. And it's satisfactory to me for him to step in if I have an order to withdraw rather than do a substitution of counsel. Be however the court wants to do it.
Okay, and I was going to ask, so Mr. White, you have filed a notice of appearance with the court. If you filed it yesterday, I haven't seen it. It hasn't made its way from the clerk's office to the file yet. So, but that's the case.
Yes, Judge, that's the case. We filed it yesterday about right around noon. And I don't know that it has been accepted. It has been filed. We have no problem with Mr. Ray withdrawing. There's no objection there, and urge the court to go ahead and grant that motion. We'll be in the case as we would remain in the case as the Mr. Llewellyn's counsel.
And Mr. Mayo, before I grant Mr. Ray's motion to withdraw, do you want to respond at all to his statements about his request for the motion to compel discovery and the request for the demand for the abstract?
Your Honor, the motion is well taken. I have no objection to the motion. Mr. Ray and I spoke right after the first of the year, sometime either in late January or early February, about the abstract itself. I agreed that he was entitled to it, but in our conversation, we also talked about the fact that in his pleadings, Mr. Ray goes through pretty much an abstract title by virtue of his pleadings. And in talking with Mr. Ray, the remaining issue in the case is whether or not Ms. Garza, acted with clean hands at a point in time when she and her husband acquired title to a portion of this property. That's the real issue in the case. And Mr. Ray, correct me if you think I'm wrong on that, but that was the issue in the case as we move forward. And then, of course, March 16th happened, and I really had no access over here to come to work in the courthouse. But I think, perhaps even with the right of request for admission propounded, we could avoid that. But I'm happy to do the abstract if that's what the other side wants.
And Mr. White, let me, I guess, just go ahead and defer to you as new counsel for Mr. Llewellyn. Is that what you're requesting at this time? I understand that what Mr. Ray has suggested, and he's currently counsel for Mr. Llewellyn, and he's extended Mr. Mayo a 30-day privilege from his client and your client regarding the filing of that abstract. He wants it also conditioned that there be a penalty if it's not filed within those 30 days. And it seems that Mr. Mayo agrees to that. However, if I grant Mr. Ray's motion to withdraw, which I will, based on his request and your request, is that what you prefer, is to get the abstract?
Judge, we prefer to get the abstract, in particular under the Rule 792. We'd prefer that instead of the monetary sanction, that the sanction follow in line with 792. In other words, if they
I
don't.
Understand. Yeah, if they don't produce it, it doesn't come in and doesn't get.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, then the court, having considered Mr. Ray's motion to withdraw and Mr. White's, as an officer of the court, his statement that he has entered a notice of appearance for representation of Mr. Lewellyn, and Mr. Lewellyn consent to that motion to withdraw, the court hereby grants Mr. Ray's motion to withdraw as counsel. We'll sign that order this date, and the court will order that the respondents in this case file the notice of abstract within 30 days, conditioned upon the Rule 792 failure to file the abstract will bring into place 792, and the court will not condition a monetary penalty on that for failure based on Mr. White's request.
We appreciate that, Judge.
Mr. White, anything else? Mr. Mayo, anything else? Do we need any other settings in this case, or leave it to you guys to get with my court if you need another hearing? I don't think there's anything else on the docket today other than there was that motion to compel discovery, which was the abstract, if I'm correct.
That is correct, Judge. I have no other settings at this time in reality, because I need to communicate with Mr. Mayo and put our minds together on this rather than burden the court with it at this time. Okay.
All right, then, Mr. Ray, I'll sign that order and send back to your office. And Mr. Ray, is there a proposed order on that abstract? I think you may have filed a proposed order with your motion. Is that correct?
I may have, Judge. Usually I don't, because I don't know what the court's going to actually rule. But now that I'm no longer counsel for Mr. Lewellyn and the court has ruled granting Mr. White's request on the 792, I'd prefer he prepare whatever he wants to have, not enter my order.
No, I understand. I just didn't know if you'd already filed or proposed.
I don't think I have.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. White, if you'll e-file a proposed order for the abstract, then the court will get that signed and returned to both parties.
Yes, Judge.
All right, gentlemen, if there's nothing further, then we will be adjourned in 18251. I appreciate it this morning.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you.